Because I remembered what my mother told me in the cattle car, and I quote, she says, honey, we don't know where we're going. We don't know what's going to happen. Just remember, no one can take away from you what you put in your mind.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eger, for inviting me to your home, this beautiful home, and agreeing to be interviewed on behalf of the Jewish Learning Institute. It is an honor and a privilege, really, to be spending time with you.
You're coming, and you were sent to me, and I will honestly, as well as I can, let you know what happens when good people do bad things, very bad things. People ask me, where was God? And I say, God was with me.
In what way was he with you?
God was my guide. God, I think without that God, I wouldn't have turned the hatred into pity as I did. I was able to look at the guards. They were wearing a uniform, and I didn't hate them. I felt sorry for them, that they believed a lie, because I was called a pariah. I was called cancer to society. Thank God I'm here to tell you about it. This will to meaning, the will to survive, to be able to look at everything in life as an opportunity for an opportunity. Not for recovery, but for discovery. And I think Auschwitz gave me the ability to look at the guards, feeling sorry for them, instead of hating them. They were totally brainwashed. And I was told I'm never going to get out of here alive. The only way I will get out of here is as a corpse. You see, and there is a difference between reacting or responding.
Let me come back to that point you made before. You said because of God, you were able to, instead of hating the oppressors, you had pity in them. Can you just explain or clarify how, because of that belief in God, you're able to transcend the hate and instead have compassion?
I have no idea how to tell you that I looked at the enemy, so my suffering made me stronger. That is not what happens to us, it's what we do with it. And so now, I remember I asked my sister that I'm going back to Auschwitz and I would like her to come with me because we were there together, and she told me I'm an idiot.
As a Holocaust survivor, do you feel especially lonely? And is it something, how have you dealt with that?
Well, first of all, I am not a Holocaust survivor. I'm a human being who went through an experience. It's not my identity. It's not who I am. It's what was done to me. So I think there is a big difference not to put labels. We do a lot of labeling, especially in my profession.
You didn't want to see yourself as a Holocaust survivor. You tried to transcend that and retain your human dignity. Was that a struggle? And how did you manage to overcome that struggle?
I don't think I ever overcame, but I like to use the word, I came to terms with it. I don't think I ever overcome or ever forget. I ran away I ran away, and then it seems that I was forced to ask myself, who am I? What am I going to do with my life? And Auschwitz was hell, because I never knew 4 o'clock in the morning what's going to happen today. They told me, if I don't feel good, stay behind. You're going to go to the hospital. There was no hospital. There was only the gas chamber. So we were holding on to each other when we took a shower. We did not know. We did not know whether water or gas is going to come out. Actually, I tell you something very interesting. In the latrine, I was sitting next to a girl, and she found a mirror. I mean, it was amazing finding a mirror. And pretty soon, she looks at me and said, I am Marie Antoinette, and I'm fixing my hair in Versailles. I thought to myself, that takes imagination. In a latrine in Auschwitz, to look at yourself as Marie Antoinette. So I think it's very important to think about your thinking, because what you think can change your body chemistry. So when I get up in the morning and I look at life as one day, that morning sunshine will not come back. I live in the present. I can only touch you now.
You talk about getting up every morning. What gets you out of bed? What is the primary motive?
Curiosity. Curiosity was what helped me to survive Auschwitz. When I didn't know what's going to happen next. I didn't know whether I'm going to end up in a gas chamber. I could have. I didn't know. I didn't know any of it. I was told I'm never going to get out of here alive. The only way I will get out of here is a corpse. So I learned that I cannot change what's outside of me, but I can change the way I think about it and learn to respond rather than react. So that's why forgiveness has nothing to do with me forgiving you for what you did to me. To me, it means that I give myself a gift and get rid of the part in me that may be still holding me hostage and a prisoner of the past.
Does faith in God help in
Yes.
overcoming loneliness?
Yes. People come to me, I believe. I want to know what kind of life you lead. Love is not what you feel, it's what you do. And that's what you do, Rabbi Fogel. You commit yourself to others. You transcend the me, and I. If you did that in Auschwitz, you didn't make it. All we had was each other then. So when Mengele came and wanted to be entertained, and the girls just put me in front of him, my teacher was there from my Jewish school with the finger. Wow. With the finger. Bony, big finger said, do as I tell you. She didn't give me a choice. Do as I tell you. And I ended up dancing for Dr. Mengele. But I was able to close my eyes and imagine that the music was Tchaikovsky and I was dancing the Romeo and Juliet at the Budapest Opera House. I can still know, I can still dance for you, I can still do the high kick. And when I was done, he gave me a piece of bread Imagine how I looked at that bread, and I wanted to eat it so badly. But then I noticed my sister in the third higher up. And thank God I climbed up. I shared the bread. And when I was in the death march from Mauthausen, Austria, to Gunskirchen, where I was liberated, cannibalism broke out.
Wow.
And when people were eating other people's flesh, I think it's good for you to watch The Sound of Music, because I'm talking to God for help that I don't want to touch human flesh. And God told me to look down, and I still had grass to eat. So I can't is never ever in my vocabulary. When I go to a classroom, I run to the blackboard, I put I can't equals I am helpless, and then I take the apostrophe and the T, and I say I can. Why? Because I think I can. So when I was liberated, I saw people walking out, and then after a while, they would come back and sit down. And I worked with battered wives. That's exactly what they do. The husband touches them, they leave, and then calls 2-3 weeks later, I miss you, I love you, and she goes back, thinking that things are going to be different because she is brainwashed by him. That without him, she's nothing. And I think that's why it's important to know that we can be too dependent, too independent. And I like to talk about interdependence, that you can be you and I can be I, but together we're going to be much stronger than you alone or me alone.
What are the most underlying causes of pain and trauma in society today, especially amongst the young?
Anxiety doesn't exist. What does exist, that you're thinking anxiously. So if you change your thinking, that is something to concentrate on. That I look at Auschwitz as an opportunity for me to discover my inner resources by not to allow to talk back to the enemy. When they took my blood, I asked, why do you take my blood? And he said, to aid the German soldiers so we can win the war and take over the world, especially America. And I said to myself, with my blood, you're never going to win the war. I still had a way for me to respond and not to allow anything or anyone to change my thinking, my feeling, and my behavior. If you touch your God, God forbid, you were shot right away. If you touched the barbed wire, you were electrocuted. And I saw the blue bodies. So I learned not to fight and not to flee, but learn how to flow and stay in the situation and say to myself, I don't like it, it's inconvenient, and it's temporary. No, yes, but. Give me the but. I give you an and. Yes, and it's temporary, and I can survive it. Because everything is temporary. There is something between birth and death called life. The faith. The faith that somehow I don't have to like it, it's inconvenient, it's very uncomfortable, and it's temporary. So I would ask everyone, tell me about my eyes and tell me about my hands, because that's what my boyfriend told me, that I have beautiful eyes and beautiful hands. And I said to myself, if I survive today, then tomorrow I'll be free. Tomorrow was such an important way for me to know that this is temporary, kind of a one day at a time way. And that I remember, I said to myself, if I survive today, then tomorrow I'm going to meet my boyfriend and show him my eyes. Unfortunately, he was killed the day before liberation. So when I found out, and my parents didn't come back, and I'm in a hospital, and I become very suicidal after I was liberated. And I wanted to die because I didn't have meaning. I didn't have any purpose in my life. This is what Viktor Frankl refers to as the existential vacuum that I see very much today among others. I think it was very important for me to listen to my God. And sometimes I call my God Tinkerbell because of the free spirit that this is temporary and I can make it that, I'm coming to you sometimes as a cheerleader, that suffering makes you stronger. And I know suffering makes me stronger because it's easier to die than to live.
How did you find your purpose during that suicidal moment?
That this is my calling. It's not a job. That this is why I survived, to be able to guide others, to be survivors and never a victim. I'm not a victim. It's not my identity. It's what was done to me. So that's why it was important for me to do my work, what I do, to revisit the places where you've been, relive that experience, and then you change, like you change gears in a car. Remember when it makes noises, but then you have to release the clutch. So the question is, what are you holding on to? And what are you willing? That's a very good word. Willing, to be willing to let go of. Like I ask people, let go of the need for other people's approval. So if I come to you after our interview and I tell you I really would like to get to know you, I hope you would like to get to know me too, and you tell me I'm really not interested, it doesn't mean that I'm rejected. The word rejection is an English word that people make up to express a feeling when you don't get what you want. It's all about your expectations, to be idealistic or realistic. When idealistic people come and they don't find that what they're looking for, they become very cynical.
Any Holocaust survivor has had to develop a level of resilience that is unfathomable. Do you think people today have a particularly low level of resilience?
I know that suffering makes you stronger, that I know. And I come from the strength, that will to live, that will, that I become the person who doesn't believe, the person who has faith. I have faith that Auschwitz was my best education in many ways, because there was no place to run.
Would you say you had more faith coming out of Auschwitz than before
Absolutely.
Auschwitz?
Absolutely. If you did it in Auschwitz, you came out as a woman or man of strength. We women had to have that inner voice within us. I know my God is a loving God. I don't talk about yes, but I'd say yes, and. I don't have to like everything. I don't like many, many things. When I go to a restaurant, I don't order certain things, but I do order other things like beets. Many people don't care for beets. I love beets, and a beet salad is the first thing I look for. And I also think that it's good to have the feeling, the thinking, the doing, to have a good way of looking at life as a challenge, not a problem. There are no problems, there are challenges. And of course, midlife is not a crisis. Midlife is a transition. And you're not going back, you have a new beginning. And I hope that couples can renegotiate.
Let's talk about guilt for a second.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as productive guilt?
Wow. I never heard of that. But guilt is in the past. And my self-dialogue goes with guilt, what I could have done and should have done. My parents had tickets to go to America that they took with them to Auschwitz. They had no idea what will happen, could happen, will happen. Things happen so fast.
So that's looking back and feeling regret for
Yes.
maybe a lost opportunity.
Yes.
Do you, as a survivor, ever feel guilty for surviving when so many died?
Yes, I had tremendous survivor's guilt. I graduated with honors and I never showed up for my graduation because I had tremendous way of thinking that I don't deserve it, even though I worked for it hard. I think it's very important for you to practice self-love and tell yourself, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done things differently. Of course I would. If I knew then. You see, I have 3 children. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 7 great-grandsons. And they never had grandparents. I'm very proud to be a Jew because my ancestors were slaves. I know that. I studied that. But when they were liberated, they were on the desert. My understanding is, and you know much more about it, that they found this guy called Moses, and they were on the desert more than 40 years, and they never gave up. I carry that blood. I'm a very proud Jew, a woman of strength. Not a strong woman, a woman of strength that comes from the inside.
So you are the quintessential Jew by being the ultimate survivor. And in one word or a few words, what keeps you going?
God, the God that is my guide. I turn to God for everything. what now rather than why me?
To some people who don't are not aware that they have God in their lives,
Yeah.
what would you say to them? How do you inspire them to faith?
Well, whatever they're doing, I would ask, how is it working for you? Because people many times blame. And while you blame, you're still a child. Children blame. You made me angry. It's no. I think it's very important to take freedom with responsibility. Freedom without responsibility is anarchy. And I know that because I saw people, as I told you, going outside and then coming back, sitting down, waiting, because we were brainwashed and told that we're never going to get out of here alive. And after a while, unfortunately, you believe it.
You mentioned that the day you went off to eventually the camps and Auschwitz was the day of Pesach, Passover. What does freedom mean to you? What does the festival of Passover mean to you, particularly in light of the fact that you were taken out of your freedom, you lost your freedom on the day of Passover?
I lost the freedom externally, but not internally. I became stronger. And I kept feeding myself that I don't like it and it is inconvenient and it's temporary and I can survive it. I changed the but into and. Yes, and furthermore. So I think it's good to pay attention what you're paying attention to, because any behavior you pay attention to, you reinforce. I don't want to think about it, you're going to think about it. You can think of anything you want to think of, but don't think of an apple. You're thinking of an apple, don't you? Exactly. I told you not to think about. You're going to think about. Because nobody wants to do what you're told. You want to be your own intelligent, one-of-a-kind, unique, authentic self. That's.
Do you think making sacrifices in life has helped you grow as a person?
I wanted to live no matter what I had to do. But I was very young and very much in love. And so I began to work with Vietnam veterans. And one of them was in a fetal position. Why me? And screaming. And conversely, the other one says to me, hey, I'm sitting in a wheelchair. And you know what? God gave me a gift because I can see my children's eyes much closer. I can see the flowers. And here I am wearing a white coat, Department of Psychiatry, Dr. Edith Eva Eger, and I feel like an imposter. Because I never, ever faced the 16-year-old in me. And that's when I decided to go back to Auschwitz. I wish I could meet those wonderful Vietnam veterans. I still work with some of them who are homeless because when they came back, nobody really welcomed them and they still feel like a victim. I was victimized. I refused to be a victim. I think it's important for us to give birth to the real person that we were meant to be, free. freedom, freedom, freedom. The other effort is from freedom from the concentration camp that is in your own mind, and the key is in your pocket.
After 120 years, when you meet God,
Yeah.
what is the first question you'll ask him?
Thank you for being with me in Auschwitz. I would probably say, I'm so happy to be here because I know without you, I wouldn't be here.
Is any part of you angry with God?
I went through my anger. I went through my rage before I even think of anything else. I thought of revenge. I thought of great deal of anger, but I had to go through it to even begin the idea of forgiveness. It's not me forgiving you for what you did to me. It's forgiving myself to put judgment on me. I think it's very important not to put judgment and say yes, but it's better to say yes, and I'm here now. Whatever happened, I could have died, and I didn't. It's easier to die than to live. I could have killed myself, and I did not. So I'm grateful to have 3 children, 5 grandchildren, and 7 great-grandsons. And that's my revenge to Hitler.
In telling your great-grandson, please God, at his bar mitzvah, what can you say to him in terms of what it means to be Jewish?
That he is going to be a survivor and not a victim of anything or anyone or any circumstance ever. We are not rigid, we are flexible. Our ancestors didn't give up, even though they were in a desert for over 40 years, and they never gave up. That's the blood you carry. That's what I will tell him.
The Rohr Jewish Learning Institute has the largest collection of Jewish media online. Hit subscribe for more.